was there, and he was there. We were all there at the same time in the same place, and so it was really good. It's just to to reflect back and look at all of them together is pretty awesome. So thanks, Todd. Thank you very much for saying that.
Welcome.
Um, I want to. I'm really curious about this part of it. Really would like you to share with our listeners because I know it must be. I'm assuming it must be frustrating because maybe to have a setback. I heard and I've studied and read that when you are, and you can correct me, when you are a substance abuser or addicted addict or however you want to put it, if you have a
Hmm.
setback. I remember seeing you once. It was at that home, the IB, is it IBH?
I'm your age. Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Um,
told me this story about a hat. You took your hat off, and you threw it way out, like 3 or 4 or 5 feet. And you said,
mhm.
I use this all the time. I tell this story to many people all over for different reasons. And you said, okay, let's say that out there is the drug. My hat is the drug. And then you said, okay, my boss pissed me off. You walked a little bit closer to it. I got in a fight with my girlfriend. You walked a little bit closer to it. You mentioned the traffic. You walked a little bit closer. As you're cleansed, you're free, you're in recovery, but those things happen and you are justifying it. I deserve to use or whatever. Can you share that with us? How those setbacks and how you picked yourself up and brushed yourself back off?
Sure. In the beginning, when I tried to get sober on my own, because and you'll hear that a lot from people. I can do this. I got this. I can control it. I can stop it, which is me lying to myself all day long. When I would try to get sober before on my own, I would try to do it chemically because not only as a human being, especially when you're in alcoholism, addiction, however you want to put it, because I suffer from a mental obsession and a physical allergy. I had said before, a lot of people can have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I don't know when to stop. So, and that was my solution to everything. But like you were saying about setbacks, it is very, very easy. The more things that irritate me, the more things that rent space in my head, the more I justify in my head and like to lie to myself and convince myself that um, I should. It's a sense of entitlement, I guess you should say, that hey, I deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to go through this. I need some relief. I need this. The bad part is the only solution I know is the drug and alcohol aspect of it. And that's where the weed part comes in. And I'll never forget one of the gentlemen that worked there. He would sit there and he would get so frustrated with me because I was just a jerk in there for a little bit. And he would tell me, he goes, I can't make you sober. I can't touch you on the head and make you want to recover from a state of hopeless mind and body. He goes, I can't do it, but we can. We can do this together, but we have to work together. It's a we
Mm-hmm.
program. It's not I.
Okay.
I stink. I am not good. I am maladjusted to life. I've said that over and over and over again. I need we. I need you, man, Bev. I do, just as simple as, the story with you and Ange and the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of their feelings or however it may have been, and that's by farming's none of my business. But you pushed through, and you guys co-parented, and because you brought these 3 kids into this world, And those 3 children were your responsibility. And you took care of those 3 children and taught them the way and taught them the ways of life, although they have to go through things on their own, although they're going to go through times of crisis and great times and mad at mom and dad or whatever throughout the way. Look what you did. You stuck through, you persevered. That this was your journey with them. It's the same thing with, in a sense of alcoholism. You didn't do it alone. You didn't do it, regardless of the fact of what you thought of others. I don't like everybody in recovery. I don't like everybody, period. But I have love for them, and I have a respect for them. And I take little bits of each and every person to help keep me sober each individual day. Now, mind you, I've been sober since I got up this morning about 5:45, but I just managed to put exactly today 1,700 days before that.
Wow.
But I didn't do it by myself. Okay. I didn't do it alone. Okay. But there's absolutely setbacks, and there's absolutely. I was a little grumpy yesterday, but I'm not alone, and I get called on it, and that's what true friends are, and people closest to me. They know me. They know my transparencies. Even if I try to put up a front or a fake facade and act like everything's all hunky dory. I get called on it. What's your deal? What's going on with you? Talk about it. And that's one of the most important things is talking about it. Because what I like to do, I like to stuff my feelings down.
That's what I like
doing. I like to internally fix everything. And I'm not doing anything but making it worse, renting space in my head, making my head spin, and ignoring the great things that are going on outside of me.
Yeah.
Look at the sunrises. It's beautiful. It's beautiful outside right now.
It's I'll tell you, and I can appreciate that I'd mentioned it before. What we do is, I always say social media is going to be the best of us or the death of us, because you see all these happy people or couples or whatever and whatnot, and you're going through something, for example, and so you're like, well, I don't even want them to try and make me feel better. I don't want anybody to know how bad I really feel. And I loved I say this all the time. You had one of your inspirational memes, and it said, when you tell someone your problem, you've already cut it in half. And and that resonated so much, because when I finally decided, you know what, everybody knows anyway. I mean, I may as well start sharing with friends, going out and hanging out, having some dinner, a couple glasses of wine, and just talking to people. And that saved my life. Because then suddenly, in exchange, they're going to share their issue with you. And then you suddenly, just like you said, it's not all about me anymore and internalizing. It's now I'm sharing and helping at the same time.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. And they told us that a long time ago. A problem shared is a problem cut in half. Now, the other aspect of it is paying more attention down the line of who you share that with, and you become more. You become more apt and more susceptible to seeing who the real people are in your life. Like I said, I got a group of people that are very, very, very close to me, and they know each and everything about me, and I can talk to them at any time. Now, I just wouldn't go blurting out God knows what to somebody I'm an acquaintance to.
Yeah.
Yep. You'd be better off telling us things on a bus.
Yeah, I made that mistake. That did happen to me once. As an adult, when you think you should know better, it did. It happened to me once, and I was absolutely could not believe. It was like high school all over again, and it was like I went frantic. I mean, I had confided in this person, had told them some things, and it's just like it came up, at a gathering, and it's like, oh my gosh, really? You did that? You can't believe they told, And it's like, damn
Right.
it. And then it's like, you know what? What the hell? It's gone. I mean, honestly, I was like, it really and truly hit me. If that honestly is what you're going to talk about when you should be talking about this or whatever, or could be solving a problem, but if I'm that interesting and you want to do that, go ahead. Uh, Listen, I was inspired today. I opened the show with talking about and city slickers and the deep meaning, and there's so many in there, and I keep actually watching this scene, and you know what a crybaby I am. Watching this particular scene, I got all choked up. I mean, it's just, first of all, it's the 80s, and it takes you back to a time period when you saw, that whole 80s, 90s vibe, and honestly, I got a little verklempt. But I ran into the scene. I didn't want this scene. This isn't the one I wanted to find. I was looking for when, the river is raging and he's saving that sweet little baby calf. I'm looking for the scene when he holds up his finger, as number one, using the number one, that because he just wants to help one. So, but I was looking for that. But instead, I ran into Best Day, Worst Day. And they're riding, the horses, the cattle's all behind them, and it's Billy Crystal and the other two characters. It's not important, but we're talking about their best day, worst day, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling. Do you have a best day, worst day?
Yeah, actually, it was Dad's funeral. The day of the funeral. And the reason I say this, and it's not, it has just shown me, like we had talked before about death and how we deal with it. And the time, back to time, that we got to spend with those people and the good times we had with them, instead of looking at this bad time, this one moment, and that moment's going to pass, of that feeling of death is exactly when, I got to sit down with Dad a lot the first 9 months I was in recovery, and we got to sit down and actually talk with no lies, no dishonesty, 100% honest truth, and I got that out of Dad. And there was a moment during the funeral when Dad passed away. I was okay, like, as far as I was at peace. I knew Dad, just like most people, but he was more so, he was scared, so scared of dying, which most people have a common fear of that. But after watching what Richard went through, it really messed with his head. And he wouldn't talk about it, but you could just see it. And the way Dad passed away is exactly what he wanted, how he wanted to be. And what I'm getting at is, how our childhood went and the understanding of alcoholism that Dad went through and then got better. And I had talked about the huge resentment I had from being a kid, not understanding what Dad suffered from, that I didn't want nothing to do with him until I was in my alcoholism. Well, my other sibling didn't understand that and still had that resentment. And it blew my mind when I was sitting there and he was up there talking about Dad. And he looked up at the sky and he said, "I forgive you, Dad. You had to wait till he was gone to do that." I was at peace in myself. And it was the best, worst day because I was where I was at. But I felt a whole different way for him because he didn't get to experience that. And I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget that overwhelming feeling I had inside me of of gratitude for myself and in general